Hey everyone, this week we have the amazing David Gibbs telling his coaching story. For those of you that don't know David, he is extremely passionate about what he does as a coach. He and I met just really understanding each other's story and background, and just very generous with the wisdom that he has. I'm super honored to be able to host this meeting, so y'all get to meet him too. Like his insight and wisdom in the world of business, in the world of financial coaching is so powerful. And hopefully that the things you get from this call will challenge maybe some of the perspectives you have in your business, challenge you for growth, break through some of your own limiting beliefs, and just seeing that normal people are creating successful businesses, part-time, full-time. That's what these calls are all about, helping bridge the gap that we see successful coaches do and what we're doing, and just makes it a lot more tangible. And that hope building, that encouragement to actually help you take the next steps. That's what this is for. So just get ready, ears open, a humble heart, and really just soak it all in, because I know David is a wealth of knowledge and experience. So, David, yeah, go ahead and take it away with all things your coaching practice.
Right on. Well, thank you so much for having me, inviting me to do this, Teddy. I'm actually waiting for this amazing, cool David to show up. I was like, wow, I really want to hear from that guy. um, well, once upon a time in 2017, I was really looking for a career that was actually helping people. My degree is in criminal justice. I thought I was going to be a cop. I became a librarian because I wanted to help people that way, but nothing ever really filled or scratched that itch of truly helping people until I ended up at a job where I was in a rental car agency. And my wife and we had worked getting out of debt and worked really hard at that and figured some things out. And I was in cars with people that were having the worst day of their life. Their cars had been totaled. They were getting insurance. And of course, the insurance only affords you like a $25 a day, tiny little car that you can get. So I'm sitting in the car with these people, and I'm supposed to be selling them insurance for their rental car vehicle and gasoline and all this stuff, but I'm actually doing coaching, and I'm telling them about my wife's and my experience and how, like giving them thoughts and ideas. And now it could be me exaggerating or my memory exaggerating from the past, but it must have been over 50 conversations that kept ending in tears and people just being so excited and saying thank you so much for helping me with this and this and this. And so I was just like, oh my gosh, how do you monetize this? How do you do this for a job? This is what I've been looking for and actually helping people. And the internet evil must have been listening to me, because all of a sudden, a couple months later, FCMT, Financial Coach Master Training through Ramsey, kept popping up on my phone. And talked to my wife, and I decided to go for it. So I took FCMT. I started my practice in California. And then, because I love Ramsey, I love the Ramsey way, I decided, I'll try and go for Ramsey proper. I'll work at the actual place. This financial coaching business, this will just get me like a good thing on my resume, to go and get that job. But, it wasn't God's will for me to do that. I tried a few times and it just wouldn't work out. And then one day, after my second born was born, my wife said, hey, do you mind if I try? Would that step on your man toes too much? And I'm like, that's fine, you try. And that stinker tries once and gets 3 interviews in 1 week. And we moved to Tennessee. So I transported my burgeoning practice to Tennessee. And then the big change came, which was just huge. I went from being the main breadwinner to hanging out with 2 baby boys. At that time, my little one was less than a year old, and my oldest was less than 2. And I decided, I'm just going to do this coaching practice, as much as I can. And I told my wife, oh yeah, I'll be making as much as you in like 3 months with my coaching practice, right? And it must have been, the third, fourth, fifth consultation where I'm just like hiding from my children, trying to like talk on the phone and and help people with coaching, that I realized that I need to have a different change in mindset. So that was the big thing for me, because I had to figure out boundaries. I had to figure out contentment. I had to figure out, how to, have a great coaching practice, but be okay that I can do this on nap times, evenings, and weekends. So now I'm coming up in August on 6 years of coaching, and for just about all that, about 5 years of it, I've been taking care of two preschoolers and getting them to kindergarten. I did preschool curriculum myself for them, all the while trying to have a coaching business on nap times, evenings, and weekends. And that's where a lot of my growth has been. And what I'm excited about is that I've had that at the core, because like in Captain America, right? A weak man knows the value of strength, and I know the value of time. And so over the past few years, I've had to really be good at boundaries, at time blocking, at getting things right, because the kids are getting up. I have to do my prospecting now. I have to do my calls now, because it's not going to happen again or until tomorrow, until the next thing. And so yeah, I've worked through that over the years. I've bumped my head on some things. I've learned a lot. Is there anything in particular that you'd love to hear about, Teddy? That's generally where I've come from and where I'm at now.
No, I think that's incredibly valuable, especially because a lot of people who are getting into the coaching space, have families and have jobs and have all these things that they're balancing. And you being able to come from perspective of like, you didn't start off full time where you can put 1,000% of your focus on building a business and getting rich and all that stuff, but building it one step at a time over the, 5 or 6 years and weaving that into your life. I think that kind of perspective on building a business and really a culture, an online culture where it's like, no, I want to build $1 million business in 3 years. I think that's really valuable perspective, because a lot of people who are listening to this call are in that position, other stay-at-home parents or people who work full-time jobs and really have to squeeze in the business stuff into it. I think, especially now, you with the experience that you've had over the 6 years and launching, more into your personal coaching practice, and also for the new coaches out there too. For those of you who don't know, David also works with newer financial coaches trying to essentially navigate the same waters, right? That balance, that contentment, those boundaries. I want to kind of focus on like, with all that time blocking, all that stuff, how did you know what was like the most efficient next step in the limited time you have? Like, how did you prioritize the activities in your business so that you were being effective and specific to your business?
By bumping my head a lot. It was just continual trial and error, trying new things, and then figuring out what works, what doesn't work, what is a waste of time, what may not be a waste of time in the future if I had more time to focus on it, but what can I do that is actually helping my business grow, that I can do with a short amount of time. Because on an amazingly good week, I would have about 10 hours to be able to devote to the business. On average, it was more towards 5. And so I had to figure things out. I mean, you could probably even look right now on my social media. There's stuff from years and years and years ago, because I would try social media and I'm like, no, I don't have the time to do this well. And so then I pulled back, and then now I'm finally starting to have a little bit more time, so I'm doing it again. But I those things I had to figure out through a lot of trial and error. And the number one thing that I found that actually grows the business, that is actually helpful, that I was able to consistently keep up with the time I had, was building a strong referral network. Number one. Nothing else, no email newsletter, no social media, all those peripheral things I wasn't able to devote enough time, at least, with the ability that I had at the time, to make those good enough or spend enough time on them to actually help my business. So referral network is the number one thing that I whittled down to as this is actually helpful.
Yeah, and what I found, this is what I'm coming to recently too, that referrals are probably the best kind of client you can get, mainly because what's it like 7 to 12 contacts with a client to really build that trust. if you have to post 7 or 8 times on social media just for them to get familiar with you, that's different than having someone that prospective client already trusts, and that recommendation is super powerful. It's kind of like if a friend tells you, hey, you should watch this movie, because they already have a relationship with you. You may not even watch that trailer or whatever. You're like, okay, my friend recommends it, and so maybe I'll like it too.
Yeah.
And very efficient way, like you said, of building that client base, because you're building off of the trust they have with their client or with their friend or whoever, and instead of you having to do the active effort. And so I want you to talk a little bit about what is a referral for you. Are they only professional referrals? Are they friends and family? Like, where did you start seeking out these referrals? And from your experience, is there a best one, or is it good to have kind of that diversity?
In my mind, every single person that breathes is a possible referral source. Every single one. I've gotten referrals from my local children's librarian that I take my kids to story time every single Tuesday and Thursday, right? And I wouldn't say there is a best one or a worst one. It's just build a relationship and serve, and then go to the next one, build a relationship and serve. Now, one thing I did find, because this is just bumping my head, is I would begin a referral relationship, and then all of a sudden a year went by, and I'm like, I wonder if we're still in a referral relationship or not, because I haven't heard from them. They haven't sent me anybody. I haven't talked to them. So I put into place for that now everyone in my referral network, it's a big deal. I hang out with them. I make it at least every 3 months, at least an hour hangout with them to catch up what's going on with their business. How can I help you? Share what's going on in my business, so that we have an actual relationship, at least super acquaintance, if not best friend, right? So that it's not like that, so that I'm top of mind, so that we're even discussing ways for me to serve them better, because that's just going to make the whole back and forth way better. So I do that every 3 months, and then also each of my referral sources, I give them a free coaching session with me, so that they have, a story is always better than a statistic. And so they'll be able to go back to everybody else that they're talking about me with and say, oh, I met with David and he helped me with this, instead of just, I know this guy, he's pretty cool, I've heard he's good, and I have a paper that says he's pretty okay. Like, that's so much more helpful and more exciting when, oh, my husband and I were having this fight and David came and just dropped the hammer. And it was all my husband's fault. That's usually what it is.
Yeah, and I think that's really cool to emphasize, like the importance of the trust and importance of the relationship in coaching. And that's what business is, right? We just do it the language of money. And you being able to serve people, even like if they themselves do not sign up as a client, you're building a relationship with them. And if they're not your ideal client, they're definitely going to know someone who is. And using those connections and relationships and learning how to navigate that is insanely valuable. And like I said, you and I were talking about the like I think it was about 3, 4 weeks ago. But yeah, like especially like the 5, 6 years experience. Hopefully, the emphasis on the referrals will help whoever's watching this video not have to waste all the same time that you had to, and same mistakes. That's what this call is about, to help y'all expedite your coaching journeys and stuff. And so, what did you have any major mistakes, that like any stories or anything like that, where you're like, this mistake cost me months or whatever? Because we talked a little bit about referrals kind of being the sum lesson of some of those mistakes, but perhaps kind of highlighting a specific mistake could resonate with someone listening and really help them acknowledge, oh, like that's what he meant when he had to bump his head to learn that referrals are better, something like that.
Right on. I have made thousands of mistakes. I'm being too hard on it. But here's three that have really changed my business for the better, that I had to learn the hard way. One, I would say at least the first 2 years of my coaching practice, I left so much impact and money on the table from being too prideful and not being in a group, not asking for help, not rolling with other coaches more, trying to go it alone, like we were all taught all the time not to do. And I just was like in my little office, trying to write formulas on the wall and say, is that right? I don't know. I'm the only one here, you know? And so that, I would say that's the number one, of just being prideful and or fearful of looking dumb, of asking dumb questions, but that's how you learn, guys. So take it from me, just ask the dumb question because everybody else was thinking it too. So that'd be the biggest. Another one is learning to respect my business. And so what that meant for me is, for example, when I first started coaching, things were on Venmo. What was a coaching agreement? It was very handshaking, like, oh, we're friends, don't you want me to coach you? And I realized after getting ghosted all the time, after things not working as well or as smooth as they should be, after forgetting, oh, I have an appointment today, that maybe I should do some automation. Maybe I should put things on a calendar. Maybe I should have folks sign a coaching agreement before we coach. Maybe, putting things into that sort of realm. Even well, when it comes to payment taking, I got off Venmo. I use Square now, and I take folks' payment information now, because what I started to think of and what I wanted to be more like is, okay, what am I seeing? How does Netflix run? How does Verizon run? How do these businesses that are dealing with subscription models, what do they do? What am I seeing when I go through the process of becoming a client or customer for all of these big businesses? What do they do? And then why don't you do that? and so the public, when they're dealing with me, like, oh, wow, he's expecting me to be on time. Like these expectations are set. This is clear. This isn't mean, it's clear. It's you're expected to do this, and then I'm going to do this, and your payment information will be saved, and then I have it to where now where I let them know. I ask them, when do you want your payment to come out? You come out the 1st or the 15th. You pick, and that's it. And then it's just automatic. Because I'll tell you, in the Venmo days, oh, it was terrible. I became the bill collector. It's like, oh, just so you know, it's due today. And then like another little text, your payment's due. Did you know that you need to pay? Oh, and it's just embarrassing to even think about it. Like, ah. And but it's the difference of this is a business versus I'm splitting dinner with my friends the night before, right? And when I started acting that way and turning my processes to more, that level, then, oh, look, people aren't ghosting me very much anymore. People are showing up. People are doing their homework more. Those things just automatically take place because people respond to how you treat your business and the mindset that you come in with. They're going to respect that.
Yeah, I love that. So you said the first mistake was kind of the isolation, the pride. The second mistake being not really like respecting the business as a business, right? Maybe as like a side hustle, passion project, like an extension of your personal life, but really delineating like, this is a business, and formally I should emulate the things that successful businesses do. Did you say you had a third mistake in there, or was that kind of like
One
lumped in?
more, one more to come. Are you ready? The next one is preaching. I love to talk. I love to talk. And so, it has been a natural way of being for me. And I'm sure, there's some coaches out there like this. It has been a natural way of being for me to tell people what to do, preach at them, and then do what I say, do what I'm telling you to do. Instead of what I do now is actually coaching, sitting back and enjoying the silence instead of being afraid of silence, and taking my time, realizing that the going into the counseling part where we're talking about the past, we're talking about behaviors, we're talking about what their parents did, we're talking about where they came from, instead of just I definitely, when I started, it was putting out the fires, definitely focusing on top level questions and not delving too much deeper, because maybe I just wasn't even sure how to do that at that time. So this can help everybody right now. Take your time, relax, just hang out in silence and say, how do you feel today when you're starting that call? And going along with that, especially in the beginning, a lot more scripted, a lot more box checky. So I would go into not listening and preaching my beautiful checked boxes that they should be doing this. This is your next step, da da da. And then all of a sudden, we have 10 minutes left in the call, and they're like, yeah, but it's just so hard for me because I just grew up in this household, this. I'm like, oh my gosh, we only have 9 minutes and you just brought that up. But I accomplished all of we checked all my boxes, but now this isn't as great of a session as it could be because I wasted all the time telling you my beautiful system that you should do.
No, I love that, especially like a lot of people that get into coaching or the financial coaching is because they themselves are numbers oriented or like really like clear on what the plan looks like. But coaching is very, very heavy on the communication, the relationship. If any of you are interested in developing your coaching skills, I highly recommend looking into motivational interviewing and therapeutic communication. A lot of the same skills that therapists and counselors use, we do as coaches too. And David, like you're saying, that silence is awkward but powerful because it's like, especially if you want them to talk more, they also hate the silence as much as you do. So it'll help them open up. No, that's awesome. I really you sharing that.
Yeah. In my old age now, it's almost like I enjoy the silence more because I'm just like, I'm just gonna take a break. You tell me what's going on in your heart as I drink my drink.
Or if you really need help with it, just pretend to write notes or actually write notes in silence, and it still kind of gets that effect. Yeah.
Especially when you're not.
Awesome. Especially when you're not used to it. So I know we got a couple other coaches on this call. Do y'all have any questions for David on his practice, his journey? And we're also going to ask kind of like, where is he at now, right? Like, where is he going? And we'll definitely like wrap up the call with that. So yeah, ask away.
David, I just want to thank you for taking time out of your day to basically be here and just talk with us a little bit. The coaching agreement that you were talking about, where did you get it? And how reliable is it? And would you be willing to share it?
Yeah, it is. I would say it's a living document that I created myself in the mindset of, like I was talking about before, turning in this is a professional business.
Yeah.
And so it covers a lot of things like, refund policy, cancellation policies, expectations of them and all that. And yeah, of course, I'd be happy to share it. But like I said, it's a living document. I'm actually about to, because right now in my practice, my boys are both going to school in August for the first time. So I'm going to get to go from 5 to 10 hours to 32 starting August. So I'm very excited. So I'm just auditing everything. And that's next on the docket to audit to see if I still like that agreement because I keep sending it to people. But I haven't looked at it in a while. And I would definitely suggest everybody, and I don't remember who told me this. It was just recently, like 12 to 24 months. Audit stuff, make sure you're liking your wording, make sure you're checking on your processes, and it definitely helps. Did that answer your question, Jason?
Yeah. And then are you keeping a list of prospects?
Yeah. I with my prospect list, I reach out to all of my prospects every 3 months. And so every prospect that I get that didn't become a client, they go on the list and I reach out to them every 3 months until they become a client or tell me to drop dead. And what's fantastic about that, and has happened much more than once, is, folks come, even if it's 2-3 years. I think the oldest one that became a client was 4 years, And I had just been reaching out to them every 3 months. Sometimes we would talk, sometimes we wouldn't. And they say, thank you so much for not giving up on me. And so it's awesome. And so that gives me even more determination that no, unless they, tell me they want to, get out of there and to leave them alone, I'm just going to keep trying.
And so are you like, kind of run us through like a typical contact and how frequently you would contact them at first until they get onto the every 3 months?
Yeah, yeah. At first, I reach out to my contacts about 9 times, 3 phone calls, 3 emails, and 3 texts. And then if nothing happens by that point, then they turn to on the 3 month plan. And then every 3 months, I'll reach out to them about 6 times, 2 phone calls, 2 emails, and 2 texts.
So when you're doing the 3 phone calls, 3 emails, 3 texts, are you spacing them out?
Yes, yes. I always call first, and then I'll email and text like 1 2 3 1 2 3 1 2 3.
Okay. But then are they like 2 days apart maybe or something like that?
No, like one a day.
Okay. What about where you're finding the best source for your prospects?
Hmm. You know, I need, and this is great. This is where I'm going. We'll go into a little where I'm going. I need to start putting those statistics down. Where are the best things coming from? Because over the years, I'm just in my mind, I'm just a seed spreader. I'm just anywhere I can, and it comes back to me in about 3 months. And so that's great. Great job, Jason. I'll start doing that. That's a good idea.
Well, um,
Because I haven't quite worried about it because, like I said, I don't have a lot of time. So some of those things I haven't done just because I'm like, just keep going. But I know that referral sources, referral partners is the best thing that has helped.
okay. What about areas where you thought that there would be prospects, but turned out that it was really just a dry well for you?
I wouldn't say there's any as of yet because in other areas that I have tried prospecting, I don't feel like I've had the chance or the ability to try that 100% fully where I would feel like that's not a good place to go as of yet.
Mhm.
And so ask me that in a year because I'm going to start experimenting a lot more with prospecting in different spots.
Got it. Okay, cool. Thank you.
Yeah, and I love, David, how you're sharing like transparently where you are in the business, where you're planning to go, because it kind of removes that barrier of like, oh, David is this super successful coach and he's untouchable. I'm not going to be like him. It's still a learning process. Even 5, 6 years in, you're still making mistakes. You're still experimenting and trying new things, especially with everyone's biggest question, where do I find clients? How do I create clients? All the wisdom you've been able to share today, extremely, extremely valuable. I don't know if any of y'all know this, but that's the type of content that you get in these $1,000 or $2,000 programs whenever you have your own business coach. And so hopefully y'all are taking this call to heart seriously. This was years in the making, right? And hopefully this will shave off at least a few months for you in terms of where you're focusing your business. A lot of people who are early in business will spam social media and just like, oh, social media is a thing. But really, like, especially in coaching, sales in coaching is different than sales in, online products or sales in other services, right? We are heavy on the relationship. So I love how you're focusing on the referral aspect. And just to highlight a point we made earlier, every conversation is either a client or a referral for a client. Right? They're going to know someone, unless they are someone. They are someone that's even better. Do you have any like specific? You mentioned your referral program of offering free coaching for like referrals and things like that. Are you comfortable sharing the specifics of like if you introduce 3 clients, then you'll get coaching session, or is it like kind of like a referral bonus where you can credit them $400 worth of coaching sessions or $200 cash or anything like that? Any formal sort of like referral program that's helped you with that?
I have experimented with that where I've done things in the past for a while of, you get $50 off of your coaching subscription with me if a referral comes through and things like that. But recently, I don't remember which book it was. It was one of the big ones. I feel like it was Chandler or like Prosperous. It could be in Prosperous Coach, something like that, where it kind of soured on that idea. So it's something that am still thinking about, and I'm trying to think of a new version of it, but yet I'm still not sure if I'm going to do that at all. Because as you were talking, Teddy, I was really thinking about the core of what I would love everybody to take from this call, the core of what is in my heart. And when that comes to referral sources with clients, with anything else, is serve, serve, serve. And that comes to everybody. So any referral source I have, any referral network partnership or anything like that, my first thought is, and my first question to them is, how can I serve you? And usually it's later on the conversation, we're like, okay, well, I'd love to do this for you too. And so I feel like the more I do that, and that, comes from my faith in Jesus, that, oh, look, and I believe that that's the way God made the planet, that it's the law of the harvest. So if I'm serving 100%, it's going to work out and it's going to come back. And so, and it was in, I really wish, if I remember the book, I'm going to post it on the Ramsey Coaches group. But and so, because the idea was that you should just be serving so well that it shouldn't take a monetary referral, anything, for someone to be so excited to shout your name in the world, that they want everybody to know that you serve them so well that they need to be served by you too. And that was the main idea. So it's something that I don't know, I'm wrestling with, but I'm even convincing myself more that, oh, maybe that's the way referral should just be. That I just do my job
Yeah.
so well that everybody wants to shout to the rooftops that this guy knows how to serve.
Well, if anyone who's watching this in the recording, if you want to comment a question too, whether you're watching on YouTube or on Facebook, comment, and then we'll have answers for you. Of course, my conversation with you, I think we met each other like just a couple months ago, and then really learning the heart behind your business, having the faith foundation of the service and the humility you have towards serving well, really understanding clients, not to make money off of them, but to, you know, as a thank you, they pay you, right? That's what Dave says on the show, that people say thank you with green pieces of paper with presidents' faces on it. And that's one of the key things. I think everyone watching this, hopefully, even though we're in the money space, a lot of us still treat the transaction, the sale, like sleazy, because we've had experiences with, salesmen, door-to-door sales, car sales, and things like that. But hopefully this is shifting your perspective of, if you do a good job, you serve well, you help change people's lives, people will be honored to give you the money. And if they can't give you the money, then they'll give you a lot of good reviews and a lot of good positive vibes out there to their friends, their family, different things like that. So it's definitely helped me hearing this, because, right before this call, I was working on really establishing, how do I get referrals? Like, what are ways to be effective in the referral asking process, right? Are financial incentives seen as sleazy, or are there other incentives like an offer, such as like in-kind benefits, like free coaching or different things like PDFs and all that stuff? So yeah, extremely valuable. And other than kind of working on like the audit, working on transitioning to full time, do you have anything else you want to share with where you are now in your business and you're planning to take it, and just kind of put it out there to see, like, really help the coaches who are watching this dream big with their practice?
All right. So you want the big, hairy, audacious goal, Teddy?
Yes. Yes.
My goal is by December 2025, so the end of next year, to be at six figures. That's my goal. For the past few years, working, I'm mostly around 5 hours a week. I've been able to pull in 20 grand a year. So that's where I've been with that amount of time. And so I want to get up to six figures by the end of next year. And so right now with the auditing process, because now I've got more time, I am also my beautiful wife, who's a graphic designer. She's making me a new website and a new logo, total branding and all that. And all I have to do is rub her feet. It's amazing. And so she's working on that. And then, I have a monthly newsletter, and I'm also going to be getting on YouTube and the social medias because I finally have time to do all that. And so, my plan is to work that area. And then I'm also planning to get into employee wellness programs. And yeah, those are the ideas so far that I'm going to be working to reach that six-figure height.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I am confident you'll probably reach that in like 7 months or even less than that. So I'm excited to see that journey, and maybe we'll do like a call 6 months, a year later. Like you said, ask me that question a year later, and then we will ask you that question a year later. No, it's incredible hearing your story, and it's easy to listen to these calls and be like, oh, it was just 5 years. No, 5 years is a long time. 5 years ago was 2019, right? Or 7 years, 2017. And like, that's a lot of work day in, day out, rejection after rejection, mistakes, and a lot of, I'm sure, seasons of discouragement where you're like, oh, should I keep doing this? Um, but then you have those wins that keep you going, right? Like, oh, I actually did impact a life today. And have not emphasized it enough. These calls are meant to be value packed, bunch of time crunched wisdom for you all to expedite the coaching process. Because, like you, David, when I started, I was by myself. I was like, I don't need to invest in a coaching program. I don't even need to talk to other coaches. Like, I know this information is free. YouTube is like all I need. Just as much as we encourage our clients to have connections with peers, mentors, and all that stuff, we as coaches need to do that as well. And talk a little bit about your email newsletter. If people have other questions for you, kind of for pointers and things like that, how would they reach out to you for that help?
Yeah, absolutely. You can email me at gibbsfinancialcoaching@gmail.com, or you can message me on the group in Facebook. That'd probably be the best.
Awesome. Yeah. And so I will try to do some movie magic and put some captions or whatever, and link it in the description, all the things. So yeah, did you have any last things you want to share, key takeaways, or um, one thing that's also good is like to the new coach out there, like what would you emphasize to them? Any one of those?
Well, when you were talking about the ups and downs, the big thing that I want those new coaches out there to know is year one, year two, I maybe had two or three clients. There was a time in, I think it was year three, where I was getting more clients, but then I was just mad at everybody all the time. Lots of anger, because of ghosting, because of issues, because of them not doing what they're supposed to do. And my wife, literally, because she's the smartest person in the world, she literally had to sit me down and she was like, is coaching right for you? Because, the way you're acting, the way you're responding, the way you're doing this, it doesn't seem healthy, And that was a huge wake up call for me of trying to be the hero too much, not coaching enough. That was where I finally started getting it, that I'm preaching at them, I'm telling them what to do, and they're not doing what I'm telling them to do. And that's where it started to change. That's where learning to respect the business, that's where those things. And so those were difficult times. There has been ups and downs. There has been times where I was a disappointment to myself. I'm like, oh, that's not good coaching. So we all have that. It's going to happen. So the more you get going and the more you work, let's get past these learning things. And then you won't have to do it as much anymore. But there's always learning. I messed up this week. I'll mess up tomorrow. We're not done until we're dead. So be encouraged that, things are going to be challenging. You're going to keep going. But that's also when you feel like you've made it. Oh, don't believe that. There's still more to learn. There's still more to do. And you're never done. You're never done.
Yeah, I love that. Just that continual professional and personal development, because you're only as good as your business is going to be. And if you can't, cope with the frustrations of business, probably you're having some frustration in your personal life too. So it all lumps together. And it's a very challenging thing, but also a beautiful thing that you're able to work on them simultaneously.
That's a key
Yeah.
lesson of just persistence and loving people like Jesus, right? I mean, that's
Mhm.
really what it is. And I had to start reminding myself, this is a child of God I'm dealing with. They're not a jerk, they're not a bonehead. Like I'm going to call them all these names, but you know, and they're just not ready. They're either ready or not. That's it. That's all I have to do. And then I just say, okay, they're not ready. I'll reach out to them later. Instead of taking it to heart, instead of blaming myself about everything, instead of, having the weight of their situation on me. No, I'm the guide, baby. I'm Obi-Wan Kenobi. Luke Skywalker wants to stay on Tatooine instead of going with me on an adventure. I'll come and try again later.
Awesome. Well, for everyone who understood the Star Wars reference, hopefully that makes sense. For me, I'm sorry. I need to get that
Uh,
more versed in that. So we'll
okay.
definitely have conversations about that, David. All right, awesome. Well, if we don't have any other questions, we'll go ahead and wrap up. David, thank you so much for, setting the time aside to speak on this, right? It's, this recording will live on the internet forever, right? And you can send it, share it with whoever you can. If you're watching this and you have coaching accountability partners and friends, you know, make this is a team effort, right? We're all working to help improve financial standing as a country, as the world. We're not really here to compete with one another. The market is so big, like it's insane that we're not trying to get ahead of one another to beat one another. Like these calls are so we can collectively grow. And I hope you do find value in each of these calls. And if you're interested in hosting these calls, let us know. Message me through Facebook or in the comments, and we'll kind of go from there. And with these calls, we do a level of vetting to make sure that you actually are, not just fresh into coaching and don't have any clients, but have some validity to what you're saying, especially, David, your wealth of experience, $20,000 a year on 5 to 10 hours a week. Like that is very impressive, especially if you are new in the business, how hard it is to earn your first dollar, your first thousand, and all that stuff. So, yeah, tune in. We try to do this every 2 weeks, 3 weeks, something like that. And just stay connected in our Ramsey Financial Coaches group. That's where all the updates will be. And also just get to know people, connect, do some one-on-ones. So with that, we will see y'all next time. Thank you so much for watching to the end of the video. And if you want more content like this, there should be a box right here or one over here to subscribe. My goal really is to help change your life. And if this YouTube channel can do it, I will be super honored to be that part of your journey.